But there are still some mysteries left. There's the origin of the universe. That's quite a big one. And there's a lot of mysteries about how a tiny little egg cell can grow and develop into something as complex and wonderful and tremendously attractive as you. And there's the mystery of consciousness, the great secret of consciousness. How come there's a me inside my head looking out? When my son Christopher was a little boy, about that big, one of his teachers asked him what he wanted to be, what he wanted to do when he grew up. And Christopher very confidently answered, I want to study how one thing affects another. And as career plans go, I think his teachers felt that was a little bit vague. But I was really proud of him. For a start, you can never be unemployed with a skill like that, can you? You want to solve the problems of cancer, you want to find out why wars get started, you want to design better spacecraft. Who better to ask than somebody who knows how one thing leads to another? So, but he was right. You can study how one thing affects another. It's called cybernetics, in fact. Because there's not that many ways in which one thing can affect another. And if you're quite good at patterns, you start to see that the same kinds of dynamics occur at many levels of scale. Have you ever spent much time thinking about the fact that you are actually a colony of single-celled creatures? It's kind of freaky, but it's also quite wonderful. You're a society of 100 trillion little creatures. And 90% of them are bacteria, which is kind of embarrassing, but you can't live without them, so collectively they're you. I work in a field called artificial life, which basically means using technology to explore biology. And so I spend my days making artificial creatures, sometimes robots. In fact, I have a full-sized female mini-skirted robot sitting in my bedroom, which comes as a big shock to anyone who comes in to do something in my apartment. But mostly I make virtual creatures that live inside a computer. And the only thing worth knowing about this is that they are also communities, so I don't try to program computers to behave like animals. I try to program computers to behave like brain cells and kidney cells and liver cells, and then I try to find ways to plug them together into systems, into communities that collectively have thoughts and feelings and hopes and dreams. All right, so the great secret of consciousness is that there is no secret of consciousness. So I'll tell you the bad news first, and then I'll try to convince you that it's actually good news. So the thing is, I've been building, over the last few years, I've been building some new creatures, and I really think that now I'm starting to get a glimmer of consciousness out of these creatures. And for me, that's great. I really wanted to bring them along. I'm so sorry, but they misbehaved, and I just couldn't do it. So for me, it's great, because this is my life's work. I've spent 35 years doing this stuff, and it's nice to feel that I'm starting to get close to something. But a lot of people don't feel that way about these things, because these creatures are artificial. They live in a computer, so they can't have a supernatural soul. They can't even have freaky, weird things like quantum mechanics to explain their consciousness or all the other things that we concoct to try to make ourselves feel better about how special we are. In my field, complexity studies, complexity theory, we can offer a different kind of creation story. And in that story, the universe wasn't created fully formed and perfect. It was very, very simple and very, 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 very boring. But it's a creative universe, a self-organizing universe, a universe that discovers and invents things that didn't exist before, all the time.